Welcome to another episode of Salt Air. My name is Tom Hatch, the creator of Salt. And with me today, we've got one of our core engineers working on the Salt project, Wayne Werner. Now, Wayne is going to give us a demonstration today about how to use Salt to deploy different versions of Python 3. And so, Wayne, take it away.
Yeah, sure. So this is a, I guess, fairly self-contained demo. And I've just got a Docker Compose file, a couple of Docker files, and some states, and that's pretty much it. And what this is going to do is it's going to build Python 3.7 from source, and on one of our minions in a Docker container, and then we're going to deploy it on another minion in the Docker container. So it's pretty straightforward the way I've got it set up. I like to make things repeatable and easy to follow. So with this, it's just Docker Compose upd, which should daemonize our different containers. So we've got, you can see our masters and minions are up and running now. And then in my instructions here, the first thing we've got to do is accept our keys, because Salt masters need to accept their minions' keys. I'm going to go ahead and do that here.
That's nice. No demo cheating there. No running in open mode.
Yeah. So the
Even
first
the demo should be secure.
Yes. The first thing to notice is that on one of these, it didn't actually find any unaccepted keys, so we got to run out again. Sometimes it takes a second for the minion to actually connect to the master and start talking. So now our keys are all accepted. Everything's ready to go. So we should be able to just rerun or run our orchestration states. Orchestration, if you're not familiar with that, is a way to get Salt to do more than just run a high state or run a state on a single minion. You can run multiple different states on different minions. You can do commands and just really put a lot of, complexity into your workflow. Whatever kinds of things you need. Maybe you need to spin up a virtual machine on AWS or something like that. Orchestration gives you that capability. So we're going to use orchestration to run our build steps. And that should be off and running now. It'll take a while. While it's running, let's go take a peek at the logs. So you can see there's some logs going on, and it's doing some stuff with the jobs, which is what we want to see. And while it's doing that, I can go ahead and show you kind of some of the pieces that are going on here. So I think probably the simplest part of this is the Docker Compose file. Just brings up a master and then two minions. One of them is our builder, and then one of them is the minion that's actually going to run. Depending on your architecture, you may be able to have a build server, or you may have like just one minion. But if you have more complicated architecture, you may have a server that you're just using for your build server, and then your production servers are just running your application. So I wanted to kind of mimic that and just kind of show off how you could do that using this process. So I've got, I tried with 2 different architectures just to make sure everything would work well. And so I'm using both CentOS and Debian. And let's just go ahead and take a peek here in the Debian folder. So I've got master, minion, and builder. And the master is probably the most interesting one because it's got our states and our orchestration state. So if we go ahead and take a look here at our orchestration state, this is what it looks like. So the first step is to install the Python build dependencies. So what it's going to do is it's going to run this SLS and actually install dependencies that we need to build Python, which is basically just a lot of header files for different libraries. We're also going to, once we've done that, then we're going to configure the Python build. One of the build deps is also the source for Python. So it goes and runs configure on that. Once it's done configuring, then it's going to make Python and then run make install. And then finally, it's going to tar up the Python directory and stick it in a shared volume between the builder and the master. I did it this way because it was easy to do and didn't involve me setting up Nginx or something to serve the file out of. Depending on your needs, you can do that and what you've got available. If you're hosting, say for instance, one of the thoughts I had is if you're doing this in Amazon's cloud, you'd have an EC2 instance running as your build server, and then it could upload the this tar file to S3, and then you could go ahead and deploy that. I'm just using the built-in Salt file server, and so this was kind of the easiest, quickest way to get it there.
Oh yeah.
Another approach you could take is to allow file push, but there are some security implications behind that because then any of your minions can provide files to your master. So rather than taking that approach, I just went with this. Yeah, so it looks like one of our minions has finished here. Probably don't have enough scroll back to see all the way because untarring a file takes an awful lot. So we'll wait around a little bit more. And yeah, so once it tars up the files, then it runs this install custom Python state, and Python should then be available on our minion. So let's. Yeah, you got some questions?
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say I'm curious what that install Python state looks like.
Yeah, so let's go check out our states here. So it's actually pretty simple. It just extracts the tar file to the prefix that we used in our build step, and then because of where it's installing the shared libraries, we need to add that to this ld.so.conf and then run ld-config to tell your system, hey, go look for libraries here. I'm sure there are probably other ways to do this, like moving some of these libraries into varlib or something. But this is kind of the quickest, easiest approach that I came across.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, again, the great thing is that this isn't all that complicated. I mean, we're talking about building and deploying a fresh Python, and I'm amazed how often I see that question pop up in forums and on Stack Overflow across the internet. How do I go about installing and building a custom version of Python
Yeah.
particularly into generally older operating systems.
Yeah.
Because who doesn't want to use a new Python, right?
Yes.
But to be able to see that all you've got to do is build it, deploy it, and one of the options is to just set up your local linking and you're good to go. Similarly, we could have built static.
Mm-hmm.
There's options in the configure, but even then, it's honestly not that complicated. It's something that a lot of people get really intimidated by.
Yeah, and the first time I did this, I was actually surprised at how easy it was because, I was used to getting it from the package manager, right? And at that point, you're kind of beholden to whatever your upstream package manager is doing. The new version of Python comes out. Well, you may not get it for 6 months to a year. So that was always frustrating to me. Of course, then I tried out Arch Linux, and that's bleeding edge on everything. So that was great. But
yeah, one of the things that I really like about this demonstration, Wayne, is when we don't understand what's happening somewhere, it becomes really easy for us to overcomplicate in our minds how crazy that might be, when in reality, so often it just isn't. I mean, what's happening when we build and deploy software that exists inside of software packages? It's nowhere near as complicated as a lot of us think it is, just because many people have never had to build software packages before. And so being able to just build a software package, toss it in /opt, that's where it belongs, can be a huge benefit to a lot of people trying to set up what could otherwise be fairly complicated systems.
Yeah, it's great. I'm such a huge fan, and it lets you. It gives you so much power because now all of a sudden you're not waiting around, or you don't have to wait around for upstream to deploy your packages. You can just say, okay, well, I want the newest, latest, and greatest Python, so let me go out and let me get it. I mean, ultimately, it's like, this is maybe a couple hundred lines of, states tops, maybe not even that, and you've got your own version of Python, and then it kind of opens up the world to you if you want to. The very lowest level is, okay, great, now I've got Python on my system, but then it kind of opens up these other possibilities. Well, okay, what if you're Instagram and you need to run custom patches in Python and you need to kind of adjust how things run because you're doing X a million times a day, where most people wouldn't even do it once or twice. All of a sudden,
all the software that everything's built on has configuration. There's ways in which we can configure how it's built. There's ways in which we can configure how it's deployed. And we've gotten so used to just building our applications on whatever we're presented with, instead of realizing that there are a lot of optimization options out there. And like you're saying, when you're running at scale, if you know that you can optimize the underlying platform a little bit, that can mean the difference between millions of dollars in expense a year. All right, Wayne, we're running a little short on time, but it looks like we've got these versions of Python deployed, and it looks fantastic.
Yeah, so let's just kind of show you. I'm going to go ahead. This is one of my minions here, the SaltDead minion, and going to go ahead and create. Did that? Oh, it looks like Debian has failed. There we go. That was a little bit happier. So I just created a little virtual env in my temp test. So now I'm just going to install a quick little package that I wrote that has a Pomodoro command line app. So now I guess I need to interactively do that. So now I've got Python here in this CentOS minion, and I just installed a package from pip. And so it's just allows you to either track your time or do some Pomodoros, but
Well, can't have a demo without proving that it works.
yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for being on, Wayne. Thank you for showing us how easy it is to do what is otherwise seems a complex task. And we'll make sure that we've got a link to your states in the comments so that people can dive in deeper.
Yeah. That'll be great.
We'd like to thank everybody for watching Salt Air, and until next time.